Hello again. I'm Dr. Robin Saltz, and I want to talk to you a little bit about gastrointestinal disorders. The big three would be nausea and heartburn, and also diarrhea. These are three things that don't make very good party conversation, but it's something that we need to pay attention to for our own intestinal sake. The first thing would be nausea, and that is not a symptom that anyone really likes, and usually is caused from either food poisoning or some type of stomach flu. So those are things that you want to get rid of as soon as possible, and when you do, you don't want that nausea symptom to be sticking around too much. So there are certain things that you can do to help the nausea. A lot of people think of over-the-counter remedies like Pepto-Bismol, or my mother used to give me good old ginger ale, and that would be very helpful. Ginger is a very well-known antiemetic or anti-nausea medication, and that will help quell that terrible symptom. Coca-Cola syrup has been around for a very long time, and if you're not near a Sunday shop and you can't get your own syrup, you certainly can create something similar by snapping open a can and just letting the fizz fly out, and then you're left with the Coca-Cola syrup. You want to always take very small amounts of it, like a tablespoon. Just sip on that every 20 minutes instead of taking a couple of big chugs out of a glass, because you don't want to distend the stomach and cause the symptoms to come hurling back, that's for sure. The second issue which I want to discuss is gastrointestinal reflux, better known as heartburn. I don't know anybody that doesn't have heartburn from time to time. If you eat something like a very spicy tomato sauce and then you lie down and go to sleep, you usually will awaken a couple of hours later with just a terrible sensation in your upper abdomen, ascending all the way up to your lower neck, and you will really feel some discomfort there. Some people actually think they're having a heart attack, so make sure to check with your doctor to make sure this is not the case and you rule out all of these more serious symptoms. But after that, you might want to try something very general, something like an antacid. Tums, also very good for supplementing calcium, which is good for your bones as well. So it's a twofer with Tums. And things like good old Alka-Seltzer, plain Alka-Seltzer. You don't even need the one with the aspirin. In fact, aspirin can actually contribute to stomach irritation. Things like Mylanta or Maalox are also very good to coat the stomach. After that, you may want to look into something more like the H2 blockers. H stands for histamine. The H1 blocker would be Benadryl, but that's for another symptom of another part of your body, that's for sure. But you want to try something like Zantac, which is an H2 blocker, or even Pepcid. A lot of these preparations come along with the antacid because people want relief now, much as they want relief in a half hour from now. And then we have the final group, which is the proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs, which are things like Nexium and Prevacid and Protonix. And these are the medications that will shut off all acid to your stomach. Very important if you're having ulcer symptoms, gastritis, esophagitis, which just from their names, the itis is inflammation of, gastric is your stomach, esophagus is your food tube. So these are inflammations which can lead to heartburn and reflux. You also want to make sure you get checked for Helicobacter pylori. H. pylori is a stomach bacteria that can contribute to bleeding ulcers if not treated with the appropriate antibiotic. This is now done with a breath test. You breathe into a tube, and the laboratory can tell you in a few days whether you do have the stomach bacteria. Some people say, oh gosh, my breath stinks, and it's not from poor oral hygiene. It could be come from this bacteria. So very important to check that out. You also want to check out other more serious forms of gastrointestinal illness. If you are 50 or over, your doctor will recommend a baseline colonoscopy, and if that's good and you do not have any polyps, you can go 10 years before you have to check it again. There are some people that have colon cancer in the family, or they do have a polyp or two. Most polyps are benign. Those people will need to recheck their colonoscopy in about 2 to 3 years. So feel good, eat well, and this is Dr. Robin Saltz, and thank you for joining me.